Good morning on this fantastic Monday. I am David Schlotthauer, and in this video, we are tracking a very strong winter storm that could make for historic snowfall totals in some areas. We're talking a lot about critical ice and strong winds and colder temperatures associated with this winter storm, all the way from the west coast into the northern plains and the Great Lakes, including for the Northeast. We're going to cover all those details right now. So we're taking a look at the latest European model for Tuesday morning, February the 21st, 2023. For the Pacific Northwest, as we are tracking that very powerful, dangerous winter storm that could bring historic snowfall totals, strong winds, and of course some very cold air for much of the north and the west half of the US. So let's kind of go through this as detailed as I can. This will be a much longer video than my previous videos because we have a lot to talk about. So of course, for the Pacific Northwest for Tuesday morning, you will be waking up to moderate to heavy snowfall. We're talking about blizzard conditions for the higher elevations because we're talking about strong gusty winds, and the same thing will go for Montana and Wyoming and Idaho, where you're going to be seeing some moderate to heavy snowfall. This is going to be a big monster when it gets into the plains, when all that moisture associated with it really gets going. Not to mention, there's a little snowstorm here for Michigan that's going to brush on by, but that's not going to be the biggest storm of all. This right here will be. So by Tuesday afternoon, some of the moisture gets into California. We're talking about 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts across California, and also for much of the desert Southwest, where we have that really tight pressure gradient. So again, some of these areas could get gusts over 70 to 80 miles an hour in the higher elevations, especially for Arizona, New Mexico, and even for Southern California. But again, look at this to the north. Lots of snowfall associated with this low, and of course some rainfall to the south, and these are all going to collide. Remember, we got a low here going this way, and we got a low here going this way, and so they're all going to merge into the Midwest, and when that happens, we get a very powerful system get going here by Wednesday. In fact, by Wednesday, late morning, early afternoon here, actually this is 12 p.m. on Wednesday. Yes, 12 p.m. on Wednesday, February the 22nd. Look at this. My goodness. The Four Corners getting moderate to heavy snowfall. Very strong winds. We could be looking at gusts between 65 to 75 miles an hour. Look at Wyoming, look at Montana, look at the Dakotas here. We're looking at some moderate to heavy snowfall amounts per hour. Not only that, there is going to be some severe weather right now, but again, the SPC that I'm about to show you has only a marginal risk for severe weather for Wednesday into Thursday. So this is the day 3 outlook from the SPC for northeastern Texas, for Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and northwestern Mississippi, which I'm quite surprised about because the day 4, day 5, and I think it was day 6, all indicated a slight risk. That's a 15% chance for severe weather, but now it's been downgraded to a marginal risk for severe weather. So we're not really anticipating as far as huge severe weather goes, but yes, a isolated tornado, damaging winds, and maybe a hailstone or two are possible associated with that. So when we go into 6 p.m. on Wednesday, this is when all hell will break loose. Okay, this is when it's going to get very dangerous, very nasty, stormy. It's going to be worse to begin with, but it's going to get even worser by Wednesday. Look at the expansive of inclement weather. We're talking California. We're talking Oregon, Nevada, the high deserts, including for the northern and central Rockies. I mean, it's going to be snowing just about wherever you go. And then, of course, we're looking at the Dakotas. We're looking at Nebraska, Iowa, southern Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. We're talking the Northeast here. So this thing is huge. This thing is expansive. It's being stretched. And then, of course, for the south here, we do got some severe weather, strong winds, you bet on that, and some very warm temperatures. We're going to be looking at the temperatures in a little bit toward the end of the video as they are extreme. And then look at this. We got that warm front. Okay, going just another frame over, look at the snow and ice accumulations over Detroit, over Milwaukee, over Chicago, including for central and northern New York State. This is going to be devastating. I mean, we're talking about critical, we're talking critical ice accumulations over the Detroit area, possibly several hundredths of an inch. We could be looking at a tenth of an inch. We could be looking at a half an inch of ice. But look at these isobars here over the high plains. This is where we're talking about gusts in excess of 50 to 60 miles an hour, perhaps, and that will reduce your visibilities to seeing blizzard warnings to get issued. Wait until you see the National Weather Service weather alerts map, folks. It is as colorful as you can possibly get. Not to mention, look at the Intermountain West here over California, over Oregon and Washington. There will be snow and strong winds associated with the next area of low pressure. This is going to be a big problem all the way through Friday, so make sure you really take it seriously on the roads if you're across the Great Lakes and the Northeast. And then, of course, it's all back west once again for California, Nevada, with more heavy snow and moderate to heavy rainfall for the lower elevations, and that will continue all the way. Look at Southern California here, by the way. Heavy rainfall for the weekend, for Saturday, February the 25th, the 26th. This will continue all the way through, even perhaps into early next week. With another system possibly on the deck of cards, we're going to watch this one since it's very far out. This one looks very dynamic, and yes, this one could have severe weather with another active, dangerous winter storm for California, Oregon, and Washington. So the weather pattern is going to get out of control. We know that for a fact because when we take a look at how much snowfall we are anticipating, it's very, very significant. Okay, you've heard this on the Weather Channel. You've heard about this on AccuWeather. You even heard about this on other YouTube weather channels. We're talking several inches, well, more than several inches. We're talking more like a few feet of snowfall in many areas. First of all, we're going to go from the west to the plains to the northeast. So for the higher elevations for California, for the Cascades of Oregon, Washington, possibly as much as 2 to 4 feet of snowfall in the next 5 days. For the Intermountain West, like Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, could see as much as 2 to 4 feet of snowfall. Maybe some of the higher elevations here might get as much as 5+ feet of snow. And then look at this. For the plains that I have circled up here on my cursor, could see as much as 2 to 3 feet. Okay, there's an area in particular concern here for Minneapolis that could see as much as 24 to 36 inches. That is 2 to 3 feet of snowfall. That is possible. All right. And then for Wisconsin, 1 to 2 feet of snow. For Michigan, around a foot of snow, most likely between 12 to 18 inches. And then the Northeast here could get close to 2 feet of snowfall also. So this is a very widespread system. I mean, we're talking all the way from California, even the coast here, Big Sur coast, including the Oregon coast. We could see sea level snowfall accumulations, including for my area. And then, I mean, it's just going to go from coast to coast. It is going to be one of the most impactful systems that we've seen in quite some time. Here's a look at the GFS model, also indicating that there might be as much as 24 to 36 inches of snow in a big swath over the northern plains. So now we're going to be looking at the how much freezing rain, how much ice are you expecting to see out of this winter storm? This is very concerning, okay? The models have not budged. The European, the GFS, have been very consistent at showing very, very big amounts of critical or crippling ice amounts. So we're looking at anywhere between 1/4 of an inch to maybe 1/2 an inch of ice over Iowa. Northern Illinois, like Chicago, could get as much as 1/2 an inch to 3/4 of an inch. For southern Wisconsin, like Milwaukee, maybe about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. And then, of course, for Detroit, still looking at the ballpark here of almost 1 inch of ice, including for Lansing, Michigan, maybe about 1/2 an inch to maybe an inch. And then look at this. For Buffalo, for Watertown, New York, for Albany, New York, it's going to be very bad. You're talking anywhere between about 1/4 of an inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch of ice. So these amounts of ice that you see here on the screen will be more than enough to cause trees to come down. We're talking a lot about widespread power outages that could be long duration. We're talking about crippling road conditions, impossible travel out there, and air travel. So if you have a flight, it's going to be probably canceled because of the sleet and freezing rain. Speaking of that, here's a look at the GFS, also indicating quite a bit of ice in nearly the same areas. The GFS is a little further south, includes for northern Illinois, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and northern Ohio, like Cleveland and Erie, Pennsylvania, could get as much as maybe 1/2 an inch, versus the European model keeps Cleveland out of the picture. How much sleet are you anticipating to see? Anywhere between about 1/4 of an inch to maybe an inch. I mean, look at this. This is right around where Chicago is. Could get as much as about 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch of sleet. So it's not just the freezing rain. You're looking at some sleet, and that's going to lead to really very, very dangerous road travel and air travel conditions. Not only that, we're also expecting to see some damaging winds, very strong winds that are expected with this winter storm, primarily across the desert southwest, west, there we go, tongue twister, and then across the northern plains. Let's take this forward, right? So this is the European model, and we can see what our winds are going to look like. Okay, this is for Wednesday afternoon, right around 2 to 3 o'clock Central Time, and look at the winds here over New Mexico. 30 to 50 mile an hour winds, and look at the winds up here, 25 to 40 mile an hour winds from the northeast and the north, and that's going to lead to blizzard conditions and whiteout conditions. It is going to be basically, in other words, if you're driving a semi truck, you know that show Highway Through Hell? That's probably what you're going to be dealing with, because it is going to be highway through hell, because you're going to be seeing whiteout conditions, okay? Very dangerous, folks. Please stay off the roads on Wednesday and Thursday if possible. Okay, now we're going to take a look at our watches and warnings. This is really concerning, okay? I've never seen such an expansive amount of weather alerts in quite some time, okay? California, you have winter storm watches, high wind warnings, wind advisories. Even for my area, we're talking about strong winds up to 45 to 55 miles an hour. Power lines down, we could lose power here. And then, of course, for northwestern California, winter storm warnings over Oregon and Washington. And then look what we got. We got blizzard warnings already issued for southern Wyoming. Winter storm watches, winter weather advisories over the Dakotas, over Wisconsin and Minnesota. So this is a really, really dangerous storm that we're anticipating to see here over much of the west and the northern plains. And not to mention, there is a wind advisory here over Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and portions there of Louisiana, with high wind watches also for the deep south, or not for the deep south, but for the southern four corners here of say, New Mexico, also for Arizona. So very strong winds that are anticipated. We did take a look at our severe weather again. We have a marginal risk, not to mention there, for the Arklatex area. If you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you do hit the red subscribe button. It really helps out, folks. Thank you all for sharing yesterday's video. We got this out to 5,000 people. Yesterday's video. Keep that up. Let's get this out to as many people as we can possible. And also, like the video. Hit the like button to let me know that you enjoyed the video. And also, subscribe to stay up to date with daily weather forecasts on my YouTube channel, as I try my best at providing the most reliable information as possible. So now, another thing, another product that we look at is the excessive rainfall outlook. We're talking a marginal to slight risk for heavy rainfall and some flood concerns here for northern Texas, for Oklahoma, for northern Arkansas, Missouri, and Illinois. I mean, you're under a flood threat. Some freezing rain, sleet. I mean, it's going to be about everything here right along the battle zone because of where that cold air and warm air meet, right? And so there's going to be a slight risk for flash flooding and heavy rainfall for northern Indiana and for central Illinois. Okay, that's for day 3. Now, we're taking a look now at our temperature forecast here because this is really concerning, okay? The temperatures are going to be wicked. That's going to be the other big talk of this video. We talked about how impactful this winter storm is going to be, but when you got a very warm air mass, okay, let me get my epic pin out here so I can better illustrate this. When you get really warm air that comes out of the deep south here that surges northward, and then you get colder air that comes out of the north, bad things happen. And the bad thing that's going to happen is going to be, again, heavy snow, strong winds, but also the temperatures are going to drop. You got 70s and 80s out there for today. Enjoy the warm weather for the deep south, for the southeast, and even for the mid-Atlantic, and for the northeast, like, say, New Jersey. It's going to be in the 50s and 60s over the next couple of days. But look at this. The pattern changes. You got temperatures during the day on Tuesday in the single digits in the Dakotas and Minnesota. Actually, 22 degrees in Minneapolis. But look at this. For the deep south here, for Texas, 85 degrees. Okay, it's going to be really warm. Look at this. For California, not too bad. Really mild on Tuesday before the coldest air comes in. For Oregon, Washington, definitely cooling off in a hurry. But that's not it. Let's take a look at your day 2 for Wednesday temperatures. This is when the cold air is gonna make a comeback. And I mean, an ugly in vengeance comeback. Temperatures during the freaking day. This is day 3. This is Wednesday. This is mid to late February. We're talking temperatures in the single digits. -5, -10 in some areas, single digits all the way down into Iowa. No, actually double digits. Single digits into northwestern Nebraska. This is where the cold air is going to really be hugging, and it's going to get a lot worse. Wait until you see the overnight lows for your day 4 forecast. Look at the temperatures here for southern Texas, 89 to 95 degrees, possibly in the 90s over Florida. The deep south here, like Georgia, the Carolinas, low to mid 80s, so record high temperatures are anticipated right around this area, so very warm temperatures are expected. This goes into day 4. Look at these temperatures. Again, 90 plus degrees over Orlando. You're going to love it. You're not even going to complain about it being cold. You're going to be in your shorts. You're going to be in your flip-flops enjoying it. While us up here across the north and the northwest are going to get some very cold air. -4, -5 will be your high on Thursday. Over Fargo, over Minute, if you are in, say Montana, about 3 degrees, 0 degrees during the day. Look at this, 48 degrees over Sacramento. Might be colder than that. I've seen some models keeping temperatures in the upper 30s to low 40s on Thursday and Friday. This continues. Look at these temperatures now. Friday early morning, 22 degrees below 0 in the Dakotas, in Montana. These are not your wind chills. Wind chill factors, -35 to -40 degrees. Wind chill advisories are definitely not out of the question. Looking for the deep south here in the 60s. So some very warm temperatures are anticipated, folks, for the deep south. And that's because, again, our extreme weather pattern. Now, one last little tidbit that I wanted to tell you all about is, before I end the video, don't go anywhere. If you go anywhere, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. So let's take a look here at California. I just want to get some information out there that there is going to be a chance that my area here does get some snowfall. Some of the other models did indicate heavier snowfall. So let's go forward here, especially possibly, let's see. What model? Okay, maybe it was this model run. Yeah, right here, the best chances, Thursday early morning, we might get snow at the surface, and some of the snowfall accumulations here could be anywhere between maybe an inch to maybe a couple of inches of snow in my area. Well, I hope this video helped you out a lot, folks. I really hope it did. I tried my best at making this as detailed as I can possible while being as accurate as I can. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure you subscribe. It really helps out a lot. You all have been doing really good at getting this to a lot of people. This has reached, again, my last video yesterday, almost 5,000 people have watched it already. So thank you for getting it out to a lot of people by sharing this, because this is going to impact over 1 million people. We're talking feet of snow, crippling ice, strong winds, heavy rainfall. I just pray that you guys are going to be safe, because this is going to be a very impactful system. All right. I will have another video this afternoon, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back with another update on this winter storm right around 5 or 6 o'clock on your Monday. This is, again, a double upload today. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back with you this afternoon with another detailed update.